Hello, peeps. Hey, co-creators. How are you doing this week? Today we're going to dive into something really big. How can I hold compassion for others, even the ones maybe I don't like or I don't agree with, while still standing in our power? Because it feels like a tightrope walk sometimes, you know? If this is how you're feeling right now, trust me, you are not alone. I wanted to kind of touch on this because it is something that we're dealing with right now. So that's the energy I wanted to focus on. That's the energy of the week, is that balance of holding two things, space for self and space for others right now, in a way that feels good for us. So I wanted to kind of touch on that right now. We're going to do a reading on it, but really quick, this energy is showing up really strong this week, especially with everything going on in the world. I don't, it's everywhere. I don't need to tell you what's going on. If you're watching this, you probably have watched other things, so I don't need to tell you what's going on. I bet you know. But part of what I'm hearing as response, which I'm trying to, do my words in a certain way, in response to what's going on in the world, has been feeling a little bit powerless, a little bit hopeless, which I really don't want that for anybody. So I have been called by Spirit, has put it on my heart to do some things, and reigniting my blog, which I haven't touched in a year. I don't even know. And really weaving together the manifesting practices that I share with you guys in action, especially in action in context with current events. So I just wrote this new blog on reclaiming your personal power and shifting your energy in ways that actually create change. Okay, because I think part of the feeling of powerlessness and hopefulness, or rather hopelessness, that we want to shift to being empowered and full of hope is what's going on right now. And there's a programming there. There's a programming that I don't think people have seen. And there's also some stuff we're doing to contribute to it, which I don't want you to feel guilty about. I don't want you to feel like I'm blaming at all, because I'm not. Because when somebody pulls the wool over your eyes, that's not where we can own the accountability for what's going on. Where we can take accountability in an empowered way is when we realize what's going on and we do better for ourselves. Okay. So that's why I wrote this blog post. And maybe I'll make a video on it. It had the reason I wrote the blog post was because the response to a social post that I made the other day was really kind of huge. And I'm excited about it. So I kind of expanded it and wrote what was coming up for me on it and crafted a blog post for the first time in years. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it supports you, because it gives you some ways to create and affect change in ways that maybe you're not thinking about. And I've kind of rambled on, but more on that at the end of our video. And right now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go and pull some cards, okay, to speak to this whole concept about how can I hold compassion for others while also standing in my power. That's the card spread I'm doing today. And I just jotted stuff down, which is why you're seeing me lean in and read some things, because I want to make sure I don't forget anything. Okay, so we're going to pull our first card. So here we go. So the first card we're going to pull around this question of how can I hold compassion for others, even those maybe that I don't agree with, that I maybe don't even like. How can I hold compassion for them? Because if we are all one, that's one of those things. So maybe as I'm shuffling, call somebody to mind, somebody, something, maybe a situation that's going on for you. This could be, a personal relationship for you, or maybe something even bigger in the collective energy that you're thinking about. Like, where am I being called to show compassion right now? So kind of hold that image in your brain or in your mind. And maybe put it on your heart so it can be in a space that feels better. Okay. Gonna, You know, it is really funny. Everybody's upside down today, by the way. Upside down, which means I didn't know that. I forgot that I knew that, or I'm being a whiny baby about it. And we will see what each of those means. So we're all upside down. So there's some element of, ooh, this was not right in front of me. It's not obvious. So the first card we're going to ask, you know, the question was, who comes to mind, where am I being called to show compassion? And again, think about whatever came to mind as I was shuffling for you. And so where am I being called to show compassion? So reclaiming your power. Panther spirit is upside down. So this is Panther right side up so you can see it. But Panther is showing up upside down and it's reclaiming your power. But again, it's upside down. I forgot that I knew that. I didn't know that, or I knew that and I'm being a whiny baby. I want to say this is a forgot that I knew that all the way around. Where am I being asked to show compassion? I forgot that I knew that everything was within me. So when we think about it, as I said before, if you read the blog, you'll see this, and the link for the blog is in the description. But the fact is that a lot of times when we get stuck in guilt and shame and judgment about ourselves, because the only way to affect change in our lives, in the community at large, because if we are the change that we want to see in the world, we first have to start here and then it radiates out. So if we get stuck in that judgment, shame, and like blame game that totally jacks us up, and if the only way to take action is to acknowledge, accept, and then take action, you have to acknowledge what's going on first. Then you have to accept it, which doesn't mean you have to agree with it. It just means that you need to say, hello, real talk, real stuff, truth bombs. This is what's going on. Because if I can't be honest with myself or honest with what I'm dealing with, and if I keep ignoring it or I keep resisting, nowhere in that 3 steps is resistance. Because resistance is resistance is something that we've been taught that we think will affect change. But remember, what we resist persists. That doesn't mean don't fight the good fight. It just means stop resisting the thought process. Stop resisting what is, because if you can get to acceptance, here's what's going on, it is what it is, then you can take action. That's the only way, okay? So here's the thing. When it comes to standing and reclaiming our power that we forgot we had, if we're going to blame ourselves about things that people try to pull the wool over our eyes on, which I think that's what this is, we have had the wool pulled over our eyes about where our power is. By the way, it's in you. It's not in some external source, person, corporation, government, what have you. It is within you. Period. The end. Taking it back is up to you. Now, here's the thing. Over the last several decades, the wool has been pulled over your eyes about who really has your power, or that your power only exists within this box, within the voting booth, maybe within your own, what you get to choose for dinner. And even then, it's like, if you go to the store and they're out of it, or eggs are too expensive or whatever, you're like, oh my God, my power is gone. No, honey, no. You can change all of this by knowing where your power lies. It lies within you, and how to reframe stuff. Because here's the deal, like with the egg thing, because I know this is so prevalent, the egg thing. I went to the store last week and just did my grocery shopping. And I am grateful. I am so grateful that I am blessed that, right now, if I need a dozen eggs, I can afford to buy them. But then again, I also don't have children. It's just me and the man, and we only eat eggs twice a week, and I use them for baking once in a blue moon. So buying going to Aldi's, because I love Aldi, and I love their corporate way of doing things. So that's why I support businesses that I feel are more aligned with who I am and what I believe. Again, taking my power back. So if I can go there and look at the $5 price tag and be like, wow, that's kind of nuts, right? And I never thought I'd see the day where I was paying 4 something for bacon and 5 something for eggs. And I could ruminate on that. I could ruminate on how disempowering that feels and then thusly feel disempowered. But how would I take back my power? And my first thought after the whole egg thing was I got in the car and I was like, you know what? I'm going to seek out in my new neighborhood because I do live in a much more rural area than I did before. Last year, like when we moved last year, we intentionally moved outside of the city. And so there's like farms around here. So certainly there is somebody around here with eggs that if I'm going to have to pay $5 for eggs, I'd rather pay it to somebody who's a neighbor than to a corporation. So that is reclaiming my power. So the card saying, where can I show more compassion? It's with myself about realizing, wait a minute, my power is within me. How I choose to engage with it is within me. I'm not going to blame myself or feel guilty about forgetting that I get to reclaim my power, not anybody else, nobody else outside of me. I don't care who you are. Nobody else outside of you can reclaim your power but you. And yes, we don't need to take responsibility for being told for so long and programmed that that is not true. But we do take responsibility for realizing that it's not true now and reclaiming it. So that is our first card. Where can I show more compassion with myself? Don't ruminate on how maybe, you didn't own your power before. Stop, say, I acknowledge that I abdicated my power because the wool was pulled over my eyes. Accept it. Wow, my power is not outside of me, it's inside of me, and somebody fooled me. And you know what? That's okay. I'm going to let them. I'm going to the Mel Robbins new book, Let Them. I'm going to let them do whatever their thought is. But now that I know this, I'm going to let me take my power back. The upside down reminder of what's going on. And then action. What action am I going to take to do this? So those are like, where can I show myself compassion? Is by giving myself grace around that and then deciding what I'm going to do, which leads us to our next card, which is how can I stand in my power while doing this? And I love that it's lion, but again, lion is upside down. And lion is all about power and stepping into the light. I mean, think about Leos. They are huge in the whole, we're stepping into the light and all that kind of stuff. But the card itself is be generous of spirit, but it's upside down. So it's a reminder, okay? It's a reminder to be generous of spirit with you and with others. So as we navigate this week, where we're trying to be compassionate with others and with ourselves about all of this stuff, where can I be generous of spirit? Where can I be more grace and give more grace to myself as I navigate this and give more grace to others? That's where standing in your power is, because that gracefulness between acceptance and grace, you have a lot of power. And then thirdly, and just to backtrack really quick, because I put a note in here that I like this. It's one of the things is about, it's not about being a doormat. It's about standing in your truth without closing your heart. I love that statement. I wrote it down. That's why I love it. And I forgot it. But that being generous of spirit isn't about being a doormat. It's about standing in your truth without closing your heart. That's a huge message, because when we're dealing with people maybe we don't agree with, that is huge. And yesterday, just to give an example, yesterday we were at breakfast and we overheard a conversation going on at the table next to us. And there were two people having a political discussion. And it was really interesting because up until that point, they were just talking about their lives. They were just talking about the commonalities, the common ground that they have between them of life experience. And then all of a sudden, one person started talking about politics and the whole thing degraded, which leads me to, when we get into that conversation with people, rather than standing in common ground, that's where the division happens. That's where our focus is diverted from what we really want. And then how much mind and heart space are we taking up with that? So being generous of spirit means finding that common ground, not being a doormat, because nobody was a doormat. There was no shouting, there was no yelling going on. You just saw the whole lovely energy of these people being together devolve because of messaging that is being given to folks. So really learning how to maintain those boundaries and self-respect with strength and being compassionate at the same time is really important. And the way to do that is to be generous of spirit, to be in a space where you are not saying, I agree with everybody and I'm, when you don't, but also not launching into, devouring them with rhetoric or what have you. So that's why Lion is really interesting, because she's upside down, because a lot of times people are in fighting mode right now. And in reality, being generous of spirit, that keeping the heart open and standing in your truth without closing your heart is huge. Now, our last thing is, what is the lesson? What is the lesson or growth opportunity going on here? So this isn't just about today. It's about shifting the energy that aligns us with bigger breakthroughs. Okay. So bringing your ideas to life. I always see GE as this, but it's upside down. So how do we do this? How do we move into this space of holding compassion for others, even ones we maybe don't agree with and maybe we don't like, while also standing in our power, like and not getting in fights and not getting bogged down in the divisiveness that happens with this. So I love the bring your ideas to life, but they're upside down. So what would it take for you to speak your truth? Or what is your truth? Maybe that's what it is. What are the ideas that you have? What are the things you love to do? Because to me, that's where we have common ground. Okay. That is where we have the opportunity to create space for our own humanity. We have the opportunity to say, here's where we can stand together. And I think that's a big thing here, to remind each other that there is more humanity here. There's more nuance in how we approach things than the black and white thinking that has been programmed onto us over the last many years, which is what is causing a lot of this division. So this week's energy of learning how to hold compassionate space while standing in your power is very important, because those are some big issues. Now, again, this does not mean become a doormat. This does not mean let people steamroll you. No, this is you saying to yourself, I'm going to let them believe whatever, because I can't talk them out of it anyway. And I am going to choose, now that I know where everybody stands, I'm going to choose to do something different. I'm going to take my power back, reclaim your power, and also be generous of spirit. What am I going to do with that power? If I take it back, that's great. What am I going to do with it? And then I'm going to bring my ideas to life. So this is really interesting, because the blog that I drafted and I just posted, which again, I put a link to it below, and a lot of it has to do with that exact process that I went through, where I reclaiming my own power. I sat around for weeks like, what am I supposed to do here? I don't feel good about any of what's going on. And I feel like I'm in a place where the people that say they represent me really don't. So me writing my congressperson, which is what all these protesters will tell you to do, feels kind of moot. It'll fall on deaf ears, because I don't agree with them. And if in the current environment, it's very black and white, where it's like, it's either you agree with us or you don't. You're either in or you're out. And since I am not in, I don't feel that is an effective way to affect change. So I was at a loss and feeling hopeless myself. And I did not like that feeling, because when you lose hope, that's the worst. Like, that is where the breakdown of humanity happens. So we cannot lose hope. So that's why I'm doing these things. And that's why I'm using my voice for this. So that's why if that's something you need some hope and you need some ideas for what you can do, go ahead and read the blog. But this whole thing is also, this whole reading of reclaiming your power, being generous of spirit, and bringing your ideas to life. That's our reading for today. Okay. So that's where you're going to find the ability to hold compassion for others, even when you maybe don't agree with them, while also creating space for yourself, creating, the space for you to stand and take back your power for yourself, and then acting on it so that you feel like you're doing something. And again, if this resonates with you, I would really love to hear how it does. Like, does it come up? What comes up for you? And if you want to take the questions I asked and pull your own cards, do that and share in the comments. What came up for you? What cards did you pull? What deck did you use? I'm using the Spirit Animal Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. If you wanted to get your own version of that, but maybe you pulled different cards and they have a different message for you, and I would love to hear that. Just let me know in the comments. But if this resonates with you, and you're feeling like now is the time to step back into your power, go check out that latest blog post where I go deeper into the ways that we can take aligned action in a way that actually shifts energy, and not just your energy, but the energy outward. So you can do it without burnout or overwhelm, because I know that's a big challenge right now. We are all tired. It's like, yay, I'm being resilient, but really we're tired. It's, I'm just over a lot of shit. And so doing what I'm suggesting in my latest blog post is more about what you can do for you to feel better. And it's not just go meditate, be more mindful. It's actual action steps. So I want you to go and check it out if that's something that resonates with you. Also, I think the stuff that I suggest is really great for introverts, because I'm not somebody that's going to make a sign and go protest probably ever. That's not who I am. But I do feel a call to do some things. So if that's you too, and you're looking for ways, go check out the blog post. And let's see, what else do I have for you? Oh, I have a free toolkit for you that I just dropped, I think last week or the week before. It's called the 7 Keys to Manifesting Your Dreams Toolkit. You can download it for free. There's a link in the description. You can go ahead and go do that if you want to. And it will help you both. That's more of an internal do the work thing so that you can feel better, as opposed to the blog, which is a external, like you can do the work to do something externally. So you can get both. One's on the blog post. One is the link for the toolkit. I would love to hear your feedback on any of that. But anyway, that's it for today, for this week. Thank you so much for hanging out and sharing the space with me today. If this reading resonated with you, hit like, subscribe, share the video with somebody maybe who needs it. And you can also share that blog post out. I would love to see that happen too. And let's keep this energy moving so that we can create a better place. Be the change you want to see in the world, and go out and share, because you do still have power. And don't regret, saying to yourself, I let my power go. I don't know what. Don't sit in that. Say to yourself, well, that's in the past. Now is the moment that I can take my power back and do that. Okay. So let's keep this energy moving. Until next time, I'll see you in the vortex. I love you so much. Bye.